Hey girls, hey. Hey boys, hey. Hey girls, hey. Hey boys, hey. Welcome back to my channel. Hey girl, hey. Hey boy, hey. I'm back with my cringy intro. I think I love it. A lot of people love it as well. I cannot wait to show you the shirts, you guys. Yes, the shirts are on their way. I already posted a little preview in my Patreon group, and that is a place where we are a tight-knit family, and there are about a little over 30 of us in there. And I post in there every day. I try not to miss a day. We go over the piss rots discovery that we were doing on the channel. We're doing that in the Patreon. Once I make hit a certain dollar amount in my Patreon, I'm going to do a live bingo game in there. So it's just a lot of fun. I did not get to do my pop-up shop last night, you guys, because I was looking at my phone after we got back from seeing the Sonic movie, because Gage was my Valentine. And when we got back home, I picked up my phone and I was looking at my phone, and he looked at me and he said these exact words. He said, "I thought you said I was your Valentine. You're being very anticlimactic." That's what he said. No, he said, "This is very anticlimactic and get off your phone." So I immediately listened to him. He was cracking me up. I could not believe he used that word in itself, and was just like, okay. And I shut the business phone off. I did keep my personal number on, but I did put the phone down and was hanging out with him for the rest of the night. So that's why we didn't get the pop-up shop last night, you guys, but it will be here sometime this evening, probably around 6 or 7. I'll do it on the channel. But if you're interested in getting into my Patreon, it's only $3 a month to be in there, and that gets you in my Patreon. But I don't do anything on the Patreon because there's a lot of people stalking that. What I do is that gets you into a private Facebook group, MAMABUDEEZ Patreon, and the only people that are in there are people that are part of the Patreon. And so that is the benefit of getting in that group. Now, if you're interested in my nail strips, then I suggest you sign up on the Patreon under the $9 level, because you're basically getting the Patreon for free, because I'm going to take that $9 that you subscribe with, and I'm going to get you a random pack of nails, and I'm going to use the other $4 to ship them to you. So that is another thing that you get being at the $9 level in the Patreon. But that's only the introductory month. You do not get it the following month, but you're welcome to change your $9 to $3 if you want, after you get that free set of nails. And then if you're a real lover of the nails, then you want to sign up at the $25 level, because that gets you 2 free sets of nails and them shipped to you. So that's $15 of your $25 that goes to yourself. You're going to get the 2 sets of nails mailed directly to you every month, and you're really only giving me 10 that's left over for the Patreon. So anyway, enough about that. I also am able to give you guys all the content that I give you without putting ads. I do not make any money on YouTube. I might from a super chat here or there, but I've been on the channel since October, and I have not made any more than the $300. So that's from October. So that's the gist of that. So what I do is I sell the Mary Kay that I'm absolutely in love with. That's how my skin looks so good at 42. I decided to let you guys see my gray. I did not dye my hair. This is pure gray. And so Mary Kay's doing its job, right? I'm getting ready to turn 42. And I exclusively use Mary Kay for my skincare. And if I quit selling it today, I would continue to use it until the day they laid me in the coffin. So it ain't your grandma's makeup, trust me. Also, these nail strips, this was the Valentine set I put on. There are over 205 different designs. It's only $5 for this pack. You can either wear the same, they come with 18 double-ended strips. So that's 32 different, if you cut them in half, that's 32 strips. So you can either get 3 manicures out of one pack, or you can have the same nails all month long, because when one messes up, you'll just change that one and leave the rest just fine. So the pack does reseal. You just have to use a hair straightener. But that's that. And remember, if you do go on the site and purchase the nails, which is down below as well, so is my Mary Kay site, that if you buy 8 sets of nails, you must put your 9th set in the cart to get it for free, because the 9th set is the free one, not the 8th one, if that makes sense. All right, so let's get to what is got me enraged, and it's this case about James Hurley. Now, this is a place where we do not hate, we participate, we articulate, we speculate, and if you don't act right, we'll have to regulate. And we can agree to disagree. All parties are innocent until proven guilty. There is some serious triggering content in this case that I'm getting ready to give you. Yes, I said I would not cover murders until a year after they happen, so the family has time to grieve. But I am so angry with the family in this case that it really doesn't matter. I'm not doing anything for them, because they failed this boy. It's the family's fault. The families are not only the assailants, but the family is the one that sent this poor boy to live with these monsters. So at this point, I am just so touched by this young man that I have to get this information out there. I need people to understand that even people in your own family can be toxic and murderous, okay? Remember that. Let's get started. Also, if you are in the chat and I am reading my notes, if I'm ever reading my notes, I am not reading the chat. I am concentrating on getting the victim story out. I will read all your questions and answer them at the end. You're welcome to chat among each other, but just do not disrespect the victim and put the topic on yourself. At least let their voice be heard on their case, and then we can continue to talk at the end. I always give you time to talk at the end. If you are going through something, by all means, you're at the right place and we can talk at the end. I won't abruptly end my lives anymore, and I will give my subscribers a place to be heard as well. Okay, so let's just let the victim be heard, and then I don't mind if you're talking about the case, but let's try to keep the attention on the victims until the very end. I know it's YouTube and I can't control everything, but we're going to try for the person that has lost his life. All right, so this is James Hurley. This case enrages me, you guys. Law enforcement in Montana found a 12-year-old boy dead in a living room, and the grandparents and uncle actually were the ones that had been torturing him. They all had been charged in the connection to this homicide at this point. They also found evidence of these same people and a friend of the family torturing this 12-year-old boy. The law enforcement found videos that show forced exercises on the young man and physical abuse, according to the court documents. The young boy's name was James Alex Hurley. He had to move in with his grandparents for the last 2 years because his father died in 2018, and his mother had previously sent him to live with his father. And so the 12-year-old boy lived with his dad prior to his father's death. But instead of the mother going back to get her son after the father died, she allowed him to stay with the father's parents, the child's grandparents. All right. The father died 2 years ago, and this mother has allowed her child to stay in this home. Now, she left him with these monsters to be killed. The grandparents' names are James Caesar Jr. and Patricia Botts, and also her minor children in the home that was considered in the same home. That was considered the deceased 12-year-old's uncle. So the grandparents had a 14-year-old son that lived in the home also, and he was considered the 12-year-old's uncle. All right. Now, the uncle is only being charged as a minor, and he is the one that actually they're saying is the one that killed him, but he's only being charged as a minor in the homicide of this 12-year-old nephew of his. The agencies found video of the 12-year-old from 2 years ago where the boy James looked well fed. Okay, so they found video when they were doing their investigation and during their search warrant that showed a picture of James Hurley 2 years ago, and he looked well fed and nourished. This was when his father died, all right, when he was in the care of his father. But at the time of his death, he was abnormally thin and weak from lack of food. The torture and beatings are what led to James's death. The grandparents and their child, the uncle, have all been charged with deliberate homicide. A fourth person, Gage Roosh, is an 18-year-old who was also charged with a different charge of felony assault on a minor. He was seen on a cell phone footage beating the 12-year-old with a paddle. Okay, so they let friends of the family in on it. They let this not only was the 14-year-old uncle torturing him and hurting this 12-year-old for 2 years, they also allowed a family friend to come in and beat him with a paddle, an 18-year-old. And that man is being charged with felonious assault on a minor. It makes me happy to see that these monsters only can afford to be represented by public pretenders. So thank God they haven't lawyered up. They're only, yes, I know it's public defender, but I've never had a public pretender represent me and get anywhere. So you are much better off with a paid lawyer. If I can give you any advice in the world, do not settle for a public pretender if you don't have to. James' mother lives in Texas. The deceased 12-year-old's boy's mom lives in Texas and apparently sent her son to live with his dad, but failed to go protect her son when she did not go get him after the father died. You best believe I would have been down there front and center saying, I'm the mother. I want my son back. You sent him to live with him 2 years ago. He was only 12, so you sent him there at 10. You raised him before that. How could you be separated from him for 2 years? How could you, let's just say he didn't even get abused and died. How could you as a mother leave him there when his father died? You should have showed up for that. You should have been there when his daddy died. He needed you. But instead, you left him there for 2 years after his father died with his grandparents and this sick 14-year-old uncle and a family friend named Gage. So, sorry. The family is trying to say in their defense, the uncle and the grandparents, that this child was recently suicidal, erratic, and hearing voices, according to documents of the criminal complaint. But this is per the family members, you guys. This is them building their defense. And I do not trust anyone in this entire family, not one bit at this point, not one bit. According to the complaint that I was just talking about, these same people said James tried to hurt himself by running into the entertainment center, but this was just in January. So they tried to say that he tried to hurt himself by running into the entertainment center. No, you guys pushed him into the entertainment center, or you're lying about the entertainment center to cover up another alleged abuse or another attack or whatever. So they said that happened in January, and I think that was part of the abuse personally. But despite these claims, law enforcement has found no record of this ever being reported. So they never reported that he was suicidal. They never reported that he was erratic. They never reported he ran into the entertainment center. They never reported he was hearing voices. So this is all part of their defense. And there is also no proof of the family trying to get the deceased child help, not medically or psychiatric help either. The biological mom is stating that she tried to call the grandparents' house on multiple occasions, but was blocked from speaking to her son by the grandmother. So as soon as that happened, okay, you dropped the ball when your son's father died and you didn't make it down there. So when the grandmother was hanging up on you or blocking this this call somehow. It doesn't say how. It doesn't say if she hung up on her, if she told him he wasn't home. It just says that it was blocked. The grandmother blocked him from speaking to him. So that's when you should have went down there. You should have known in your heart of hearts that she wasn't letting you talk to your son, that something was up. You should have went down there. So the 14-year-old's uncle's defense is that on January 27th, he saw this deceased uncle of his now standing over his mother, aka the child's grandmother, the one that wouldn't let his mom talk to him, with a knife. So now the uncle is saying that on January 27th, he saw James, this poor deceased 12-year-old, standing over his mother with a knife, his own grandmother, and that he told law enforcement that he didn't know what James was going to do, so he tackled him. He admits to punching him all about the body, head, and face. And that was on January 27th. Okay, keep that date in your head. The 12-year-old boy was only 103 pounds and 5'3". You are going to be appalled when I tell you the size of the 14-year-old uncle. Remember, this poor deceased 12-year-old boy was only 103 pounds and 5'3". His deceased, or his uncle that did this to him, was 6 feet tall, 300 pounds. 6 feet tall, 300 pounds. Woosah. I'm sorry. This makes me so mad. So, yeah, it was not fair. This uncle that was 2 years older than him was 3 times the weight of him and almost twice his size. Huh. And he was having to defend himself. Oh, my gosh. He admits to fighting the small boy to law enforcement on multiple occasions, he says, with the most recent being on February 2nd. The grandpa corroborates that story and told detectives that he was awoken from his sleep on February 2nd by the two of them fighting. But he didn't do anything about it, and he went right back to sleep. But did not get up to check on them. He says the next morning he was told by his wife, the grandmother, that the 12-year-old boy had died. She says she was also woken up by the fight the night before, where she saw the uncle hit the boy with the paddle. She says she wakes up, she sees him hitting him with a paddle, but she denies it was in the head. She then says that she found James's body in the living room the next day on February 3rd. The autopsy conducted on February 4th says he died of blunt force trauma to the back of his head. We are still waiting on toxicology. After all the parties' cell phones were taken into evidence, the authorities were able to put together a timeline. And the abuse dates all the way back to December 2019. In these videos, I will save your questions for the end, and I'll answer them in the end, I promise. So in these videos, the family appears to be torturing this body for over a year that we know of. But we know that he was there for 2 years. But they have video footage of this family torturing this 12-year-old for the last year, you guys. The boy was forced and recorded doing forced jumping jacks, forced wall squats, standing in front of a fan in only underwear. They also have footage of them spraying the boy in the face with an unknown chemical that clearly burns and chokes him. While officers searched the home, another devastating fact surfaced. The food had all been locked up so that this poor 12-year-old boy had no access to it. The grandparents are only 47 and 48. Their bail is set at $750,000 for the grandmother and $500,000 for the grandfather. This all happened in West Yellowstone, Montana. The 14-year-old uncle did acknowledge that he kicked his nephew in the head several times within the 24 to 36 hours before his death, but he refuses to admit that he hit him with the paddle. because his mother saw that. The grandmother stated that James slept on the floor in the living room and was mumbling and moaning throughout the night, but she failed to call the police until she found him dead the next morning. No one got him help. He had bruising all over his body, according to the autopsy report. The boy so far being charged as a minor, you guys. Why is he not being charged as an adult? I don't care if he's 14. He should be tried as an adult. He did an adult thing. The grandmother, who police feel is the mastermind behind it all, and is also seen on this footage that they have strangling the 12-year-old and hitting James. And this is what I mean. They've got to start doing something to the parents. If they don't start going after these parents that wait to call the police, even 5 hours, that cover things up, that neglect, obviously these little kids are ending up dead and the parents aren't getting in trouble for it. If these parents got 10 years to life, I guarantee you they would watch their children better. We don't know circumstances of the bio mom, so we can't blame her. Sounds like people around him who've seen him yes, we can, May. We can blame her for when the father died, she didn't go check on her son or get her son. We can also blame her when the grandmother did not answer the phone and would not let him talk to her. She should have went and checked. Any other mother on the planet would have done that. Any other mother, even if you're a horrible mother, you would have went and checked on your kid. So I definitely blame the mother. But, you're entitled to your opinion and to have sympathy for her, but I have none whatsoever. So we don't know if he even went to school, May. We have no idea if he even went to school. And we don't know if he even let him play outside. Usually when you're abusing a child to that nature, you do not let other people see them because of Department of Social Services but we will get more information on this as it unfolds. It just happened on February 2nd. So they've kept it out of the media's attention for a long time now. This is the first I've heard about it yesterday. And so I'm hoping in the next coming weeks, we will get more information. And if he really was hearing voices, were they drugging him, or was that a lie for their defense? And it's just devastating. This is just so sad. And I hold the mother at least 50% responsible, because she did not, had a father not died in this situation and he'd always lived with his grandparents, I could understand. But the father died and she didn't go get him. She sent him to live with the father. She didn't send him to live with the grandparents, and the father died. And if he was getting thin, they said there was that he looked thin and malnourished. So had she not laid eyes on him to see that in 2 years? If you're a mother and you see your son is losing rapid weight, then it's going to concern you and you're going to go do something about it. Did she not contact her son in those 2 years? I mean, she's liable to some extent. Exactly, Pilot Pete, I agree. Yes, or don't have children. You're more than welcome to not have children. There are ways to keep from having kids. And if you are not going to keep your eye on them, especially under the age of 18, and even 16, I mean, start giving them some freedom at 14, 15 if you want. But these 6-year-olds and these 11-year-olds and these 12-year-olds, it is your responsibility to have your eye on them at all times, or at least know that they are in safe hands. If you don't have your eye on them, they either need to be in school where the school can be held accountable, or with someone you trust. So, and even people you trust can betray you on many occasions. Yes, this it just happened February. The boy's body was found on February 3rd, but I don't understand how they kept it out of the media for so long, Samantha. It doesn't matter. You start a GoFundMe, you hitchhike, you catch a bus. There's no excuse, May. Absolutely none. So it was 2 years. I understand if it was just like she couldn't get there. She had 2 years to try to do this. The father died 2 years ago. So, in that 2 year span, she could have done something. People get income tax returns. People can save $50 every week to do it. You can ask people to help you. You can say, I think my son is in trouble. And I guarantee you, she could have done a GoFundMe. Somebody would have helped her in this matter. Yeah, that's true, Janine. We're saying that a lot. Whenever it happens in these small towns, and the police departments are even admitting that this is the biggest case they've ever handled. And so they're out of their league, they're out of their element. And it seems like FBI is only getting called in for the recoveries of the bodies. I wish FBI got called in the beginning. FBI was called in the beginning with piss rots, and they had him by Wednesday. They had him in 3 days. Okay, 3 days. But on Hurley, the FBI was only called in for the recovery of the body from the chimney. And with Faye Sweatlick, the FBI was called in for the recovery and towards the end. They need to call in the FBI immediately when it's bigger than them. When they are admitting in a press conference that this is the biggest case that they have taken on in that small town, that's when they need to call FBI, not try to handle it themselves. Oh, you're fine, Samantha. And there is also another case that I'm going to cover. I told you guys that my dad used to bodyguard for John Negroponte, right? Hold on. Well, his adopted daughter is in big time trouble right now. Let me just tell you real fast. Find it. There's just so much going on. Adopted daughter of former top diplomat John Negroponte charged with murder in a Maryland stabbing. And that top diplomat, John Negroponte, is who my dad used to be bodyguard for in Iraq. He was his number one bodyguard. Him and John were friends, actually. And it says that she was charged with first-degree murder in the connection with a deadly stabbing in Maryland, and has been identified as the adopted daughter of former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Negroponte. Her name is Sophia Negroponte. She's 27. She was arrested Thursday night in the death of a 24-year-old, and the 24-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene in the suburb of Rockville shortly after 11 p.m. Wow. Police source told the station that Negroponte and this person that she killed were acquaintances who had been involved in a disagreement. Oh my gosh. And if you want to know the background on John Negroponte, which I've always thought was really cool that my dad was his bodyguard when he worked for Blackwater. Where does, oh, it's over there. But this is who John Negroponte is. And he served ambassador to Honduras, Mexico, the Philippines, and Iraq over a diplomatic career spanning the better part of 5 decades. He served as Deputy National Security Advisor underneath President Ronald Reagan, and he became ambassador to the UN in the days after September 11th terror attacks. He served in that position until 2004 and was named U.S. Ambassador to Iraq the following, yep, and that's when my dad was when he went to Iraq. Yeah. In 2005, Negroponte became the first ever Director of National Intelligence and was named Deputy Secretary of the State in February 2007, a position he held for the remainder of the George W. Bush administration. So that's pretty cool. And he also was sent flowers to my dad's funeral. He didn't come, but he did send flowers. I'm sorry, May. Are you a mother? Do you have children? Maybe it's just something you wouldn't understand unless you have kids. But as a mother myself, it is her fault. So if I had done the same thing, I would assume responsibility. I assume responsibility for the things that were my fault. My daughter did not have a mother for 4 years while she was in high school because I was a checked out junkie, because I'd rather have a pain pill than to be there for her. And I can admit that I was a piece of crap mother, that she deserved better than that I dropped the ball for her when she needed me the most, when she was the most vulnerable and going through the most in high school. She needed me and I wasn't there. I was checked out. I failed her. I dropped the ball on her. I, as her mother, should have put her before anything else. So that is just it. You don't get that until you have children and put them first. Once you understand that, then you will be able to wrap your mind around what I'm saying. It's her responsibility not to pass them off on the grandparents. So, and I would be blaming you had you done the same thing. I would be saying the same thing about you, May. If you told me that there's any excuse for this, there is no excuse for it whatsoever. And I'm serious about this. What is going on outside my window? But you're welcome to go defend her on your own channel. I mean, you are welcome to go and say that that it's not her fault on your channel. You can't check out for 2 years as a mother. You cannot do that. I would understand if she checked out for a week. I would understand if she checked out. You just can't do that. I checked out for 4 years as a mother, and I am the worst for that. I am the worst for that. And I own responsibility, and I take that responsibility, and I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to her. But she's alive, and this mother can't do that. So I'm sorry, I can't have people that defend this kind of behavior. So there we go. And we have to remember that I get passionate about these things, and I'm allowed to be passionate about a mom that dropped a ball. I dropped the ball too. I'm not saying I'm high and mighty and I'm better than her and that moms don't drop the ball. I'm admitting I dropped the ball too, and this mother dropped the ball. Unfortunately, her son is dead because of it. Something bad could have happened to my children too when I was a junkie, and it would be my fault. It would be my fault. Exactly. Thank you, Ginger. I'm sorry. I get super passionate because I am a good mom today. And it's hard to be a good mom. It is. You sacrifice everything. It ain't about what you like anymore. It ain't about what you want to watch. It ain't about what you want to do and where you want to go. It's about them. And now that I know what being a good mom is, I know I was a horrible one before. And I recognize that. So until you can evolve as a mother and realize it and gain the wisdom that you need to become a good one, you'll never understand. You'll think you're doing the best that you can, and you're not when your baby ends up dead. Thank you. Thank you, Chronic. I agree. And it's you can disagree too, but like I said, this is my video and my channel, and I'm just passionate about this. And And I understand it, and I'm not judging any mom out there at all. It's my fault that my daughter felt lost and alone and had anxiety and depression in high school. That's my fault. That's my fault. And I can own that. And if there were more mothers out there taking responsibility for when they drop the ball and picking that ball up and making sure it's in your hand and going forward and knowing that you are giving it your all, that you are doing everything that you can to make sure that they succeed. They didn't ask to be brought into this world. They didn't ask to live where you're living. They didn't ask to have you as their parent. So it's our responsibility to make sure that this decision that we made to bring them into this world, we don't regret. They don't regret. We can't. You can't regret it after the fact. You have to man up. That's what you got to do. How is everybody today? How is everyone? Thank you, Janine. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope everybody holds their babies tight and just understands that you can't let them out your sight for a second. Faye Sweatlick was let out of his sight for an hour, and they found her and a deceased man in the same neighborhood. I personally think that man hurt her and then killed himself, but it could be unrelated. The two cases could be completely unrelated. But it still screams, know where your children are. If a grandmother is blocking your call and saying, nope, can't talk to them, go there. Come email me and we'll figure out a way to raise the money so you can go to your child and get them. Or put them in the care of somebody that you know is good. But you can't leave your children for 2 years somewhere, especially if the grandma's not letting you talk to them. That's not okay. It's not. And we all have to take better care of our children. We all do. And I just heard mine wake up. So if you guys got some questions, I'll answer some questions. But he took a little nap and I had the internet all to myself. And so I want to listen to you guys for a minute. And then I am going to go hang out with Gage. Hey, baby, I'll be right out. I dropped that ball before too. We are human. It's our responsibility as parents to pick that ball back up and recognize the wrongs. Pick mine back up and run circles on the court now. Yes, Mel. Thank you. Slam dunk, sister. That's right. And you will. You'll guard that ball like you wouldn't believe. You will become the most defensive and offensive mother on the planet, because once you fail, you pick yourself back up and you never want to get back to that place again. You recognize it, you see it, and you never want to return to the place where you were not giving your children your all. And you can see it. And it's the best feeling ever to hold that ball and know, well, not my kids. That ain't going to happen to mine, because I know where my kids are at all times. I mean, don't be a helicopter parent anymore. You have to be a hoverboard. You have to hover, honey. Hover, hover, hover. Let them hate you. But you're not here to be your friend, your kid's friend. You're here to be their parent. You can be friendly with them and you can be their best friend if you want. But before both of those things, you are their parent. You are the only person that cares enough about their future to mold and shape them into who they need to be. Exactly. Not even for a minute. Don't leave your child outside for a minute. Go outside with them. That's all you got to do. Go outside with them. I've already made that promise to Gage. Every time he wants to go outside, I got to drop what I'm doing and go outside with him, because I can't have him outside by himself. If the front door is open and the dog is sitting in the front door and the screen's closed and I go to use the bathroom, you best believe I make him close that door and lock it before I even step into another room. So even inside my own home, if my son is at the front door, I do not go into another room. It's just something that we have to do. It sucks, but we have to, because this world is sick and ugly. I want to challenge everyone to Google, hold on, baby, sex offender registry. Okay, Google sex offender registry. And I did, and I put my zip code in, and there's 299 sex offenders within my zip code. And my zip code is just a tiny little off city of a big city. So imagine what's in this big city. Imagine how many are here when my little town is about a 10, 20-mile radius, and there's 300 here. Go on the internet, Google sex offender registry, put in your zip code, and it will tell you a number. It will pop up. It will show you that you got one within 0.16 of a mile from you. You've got one around the block from you. And that right there will make you vigilant and aware. I love you guys. Love you, love you, love you so much. I want to show you real fast. The shirts are coming. The shirts are coming. Yep. Here are my Hey Girl Hey shirts, you guys, and my Hey Boy Hey shirts. The only thing that we are doing is we are going to move the exclamation point over. I cannot wait to show you guys these. We're going to move the exclamation point, or no, we're going to close the gap between Hey Boy. But here we go. Here are my shirts, y'all. We're just going to close that gap between Hey Boy there. Isn't that cool? Yes. And you're going to have the option to put this on the back if you want it. Of course, it's going to be centered. All right, there we go. You'll have the option. It'll be more bold too. Oh, it's not showing up. You'll have the option to get that on the back if you want. I know a bunch of dudes don't want to walk around with that on the back, but you will have the option. So the shirts are coming. I'm getting ready to order them and have them on hand. I will do a pre-sale for the first 10 shirts. So be looking for that, you guys. I will do it in the Patreon first, and then I'm going to come to the channel and do it. So we'll see. And fingers crossed. I'm super excited. I'm going to try to sell them for $20, but it depends on how much my total costs are after I get them shipped to me and all of that. So I'm trying to keep them at $20 a shirt and $5 shipping, something like that. So stay tuned, you guys. I am excited. Bye, girl. Bye. That's right, Kimberly. I know you do. So I will talk to y'all later. Bye. I'm going to come back on for the pop-up shop tonight, probably around 6 or 7. So in about 2 or 3 hours, I will be here with my Mary Kay inventory, with my Rarity Nails strip inventory. And what we do is they all have a number on them. And if you would like to claim that item, you will just say that number in the comments, and then you will PayPal me directly after your total plus your shipping, and I will get it out on Monday, and you can email me for your tracking. I have had complete success on everything. I did have one thing come back, but it was because the address in PayPal was not the right address to use. So that's what you'll do, is when you send the PayPal, you'll put your address in PayPal so I know exactly where to mail your items. Super excited about it. And I will give you guys information on James Hurley as soon as I know. I will eat my words. If the mother was held hostage and just couldn't do it, or if she's handicapped or disabled, if there is a legit reason why she could not help this young man, you all know me well. You all know that I will come back here and I will eat my words, and I will say that I was absolutely wrong, and how dare I do that. You know that I would. So thank you for showing your love and support, and I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 2,500 so we can do my next giveaway, and you have to be a subscriber to win. So you might as well hit the subscribe button. For the rest of you, hit that like button.